Hey there world, I'm your friendly internet DM Devious, and this is the Beginner's Guide to D&D 3.5. So, when I was writing some scripts in advance for future episodes, I realized there are a lot of terms that need to be defined in advance so that everything will line up and make sense later. So, this episode we're going to define most of the terms and values on the character sheet. Most of them will only receive a basic explanation, but that's all we'll need for the near future. The ability scores are located here on the top left of the first sheet and are organized in a 4x6 grid. The left two columns are for the ability score and modifier, and the two to the right are to keep track of any temporary score you might have as the result of an outside factor affecting your scores. Directly to the right of that is your hit points, or HP. Your HP determines how much damage you can take before you die. The small box is only for your max HP. The long box to the right of that is for your current HP. The box in the top right corner denotes your character's speed, which determines how much they can move in combat and how much ground they can cover in a given time out of combat. Below your HP is Armor Class, or AC. Basically, Armor Class is what people have to roll higher than when attacking you in order to hit you. There are lots of different types of modifiers for AC, as you can see, and the only one that stacks is the dodge bonus. That means that if you have two different bonuses to AC of the same type, you use the higher bonus only, effectively throwing out the smaller bonus, unless you have two dodge bonuses, in which case they add together. Keep this in mind when writing down your AC bonuses. Below AC is Initiative, which affects when you go in a combat round. Under the ability scores are the three saving throws: Fortitude, Reflex, and Will. All of your saves are defined primarily by your class level and their base ability modifier, but they also have some other bonuses. Saving throws allow your character to react to threats in an attempt to partially or fully neutralize them in some manner. Fortitude saves allow your character to resist succumbing to a disease or poison, as well as other physical-based threats, and is based off of Constitution. Reflex saves allow your character to dodge incoming projectiles or in other feats that require reflex, and is based off Dexterity. Will allows your character to resist mind control or other kinds of trickery and mind effects, and is based off of Wisdom. Beneath saving throws is the base attack bonus, which is defined by class. All you really need to know about this right now is that the value for attack in D&D determines whether or not you hit a target in combat, not how much damage you do. Attack means chance to hit, damage means damage dealt. Those terms are very specific, and you will need to remember them. Next up is this really long table on the right side of the page. Now, these things are going to get video all to themselves, but here's a basic explanation. Skills define specific abilities characters have that either require or are improved by training. A skill check refers to a roll made using one of these skills. Also, any bonus to a skill you get from your race will go in the last column, not any of the prior ones. That should cover it until the skills video. The last thing I want to cover is this thing at the top that says alignment. If you're particularly savvy on the internet, you've probably seen countless image macros with the alignment chart, but if you haven't, I'm going to run through it. The alignment chart is essentially a table with the rows denoting good versus evil and the columns showing lawful versus chaotic. Each has 3 defined points, the center point just being neutral, thus giving us 9 possible alignments. Good and evil is fairly self-explanatory as it's just basic fantasy rules, but no one's really going to stop you if you want to have some sort of what is really evil debate. In the basic system, however, good is moral, evil is malicious, and neutral has no tendencies towards either side. Lawful and chaotic is a little more complex as it's defined more nebulously. Lawfuls tend to obey rules, listen to authority figures, and be people of their word, whereas chaotics tend to value whim over rules and do what they want rather than what they're told. Neutrals, again, have no tendency one way or the other. This gives a basic idea of how your character will act when provided with a moral choice or an order or imperative. We'll probably end up going over this a bit more in a later video, but that's good enough for now. There really isn't much on the second sheet that I'm going to cover in this video, as gear, feats, and spells are all going to get their own episodes, but I want to take a moment to talk about special abilities. This column labeled Special Abilities is where you put the bonuses that don't have another space on the character sheet to denote, like special abilities of your chosen race, abilities of your class, or other kind of bonuses you have that don't have spots of their own. Last, I'm going to talk about languages, all the way here at the bottom. Languages in D&D are extremely varied, with most of the races having their own language, as well as different classes, sects, and settings having some of their own as well. Every race has languages that all members can speak by default, including the language Common, as well as bonus languages, which are languages that intelligent creatures can start the game being able to speak. The number of bonus languages a character gets is equal to their intelligence modifier at the beginning of the game. Alright, that about wraps this up. I know this was a short video, but trust me when I say it's going to save a lot of time and confusion later. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you join me next time for our next video on making your first character.